We'll call the meeting to order. We'll start with Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Kolpak? Here. Pepcorn?
Here.
Strand?
Here.
Turnberg? Here. Mahoney?
Here. Commissioner Turnberg had requested a reconsideration. What I'd like to know for the commission to know, Commissioner Turnberg, what is the motion that you're going to put forth today?
I would like to put forth a motion that we reconsider the budget and continue to make cuts and also redistribute the mills.
There was a question on the airport authority. Did you want to go up 2 mills?
Yes, but without increasing mills.
Excuse me?
Without increasing the mills, so to keep it at 57.
Okay. So, is there a motion to reconsider the motion? Or to reconsider, well, how would I say that, Nancy? Motion to reconsider?
Reconsider the vote of August 5th regarding the preliminary budget.
Okay. Is there a motion? You would have to make that.
I make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Turnberg?
Aye.
Pepcorn?
Aye.
Kolpak? No. Strand?
Yes.
Mahoney?
Yes. Discussion. Now you would have to put your motion before the budget, or in front of this commission. You make your motion again, please.
I would like to move to increase the mills to 2 to the airport, keeping the total mills at 57.
Okay, so actually we'll have to make 2 parts of that motion. You want to increase the mills to the airport to 2 mills, which is a separate mill levy per produced there. And you would like to reduce the city mills from 56 to 55. Is that correct?
Wasn't it in 2024, 57?
So the net would be 57.
Correct.
Okay, so what happens now when, is there a second to that?
Second.
So what happens with that, it affects the budget. If you drop the mills, it's going to influence the COLA. Katie, can you pull the slide up, please?
So Mr. Chairman, just comments. There's multiple ways. The COLA isn't the only thing. There's multiple things that we can reduce spending by. To say that it's the COLA is not true. Isn't that correct?
I'm not saying it's the COLA. It does affect the COLA, Dave. That's all I'm saying. You already have the budget team discussed that they have to find a $400,000 reduction to get a 4.5 COLA if we stayed at that present one. Give me the next slide, please. It's just option A, which airport levy goes to 2 and 56 remains the same. We can do the COLA 4.5, but actually the option you're giving is option B, which would decrease it to 55, and presently we could only afford a COLA 3.5. Now, the budget team has spent a lot of time on this. We've spent hundreds and hundreds of hours, multiple meetings. Commissioners have been in multiple meetings on compensation. The reality is that in the market right now, we're down 3.6%. The reality of the COLA is only a 0.9% COLA that you're giving your employees. So with your suggested motion, what will happen is our COLA will drop to 3.5. The expense reductions are still there, Commissioner Pepcorn. They still have to find those expense reductions, which last time you said the employees are running the ship. The employees are not running the ship. Your staff is running the ship. Mike and Brenda and the finance team and HR have worked very hard to bring in a budget for you and worked line by line with every employee. Every department had to come in as close as they could. We have no new employees this year on general fund. That is unheard of. We've never done that in the past at all. I think the budget's as tight as they can get, and what we'll do over the next 40 days is work with each department and see if there's anything further. I think some of the department heads, John, you're looking in transit to see if you can find some help in transit. We're trying to figure out some areas in health where we can help out, and maybe we get more of the 400,000. But right now, all aside, this is what it looks like with your motion today, that it'd be a COLA of 3.5%.
Mr. Chair?
Mr.
So
Pepcorn.
this is a false premise. To say that it's only the COLA, that's our only option, that's a false statement. There's many ways that we can reduce spending And obviously, I'm looking forward to spending the next 40 days instead of just Commissioner Strand. The DEI can be eliminated. The Downtown Engagement Center can be closed. Every department has potential to reduce spending. Imagine that. We've never done that.
Imagine that, Pipcorn. We'd like to have
You know
you
what, Mr.
involved,
Chair,
but you
can
haven't been
I
involved.
continue speaking? Is that okay?
You go ahead.
May I
thought you were
continue
finished.
instead of interrupting me?
Thought you were
Once
finished.
again, every department, communications department, huge potential to reduce spending, correct? Health department, huge opportunities to reduce spending. To give you an example, if we do our elimination of camping, imagine how many employees we won't need to go around and visit all the campsites. When you close the Downtown Engagement Center, huge numbers of employees. So to throw out that, oh, we're going to reduce the COLA, that's our only option, that's a false premise. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
The budget, according to where balanced budget is, that's what we do, Commissioner Pipcorn. If you find other cost reductions, that's fine. Engagement Center has 13,000 visits right now. You have 40 to 50 people there that you're going to have downtown. But if that's your solution, you have to look at the consequences of those actions, what it does to our first responders, which we'll look into. Any other comments or discussion? Commissioner Strand.
Thank you, Mayor. You know, Commissioner Turnberg, I appreciate your courage to reconsider this vote in light of information that's evolving. You know, here's where I'm at. Everybody's right. You know, we need to pull in our belts. We absolutely need to pull in our belts. And I look forward to, my offer to the commission is to this next several days. I've canceled a trip next week, so I'm available especially. But I want to meet with our budget team and go through aspects of our budget that I will see that I think are non-essential core mission type budget items. And the community won't be happy if we're pulling in our belts, but you know, I'd rather pull in our belts and sustain our workforce and reinforce our workforce and thank our workforce and keep that workforce there. If I can pull in our budget, I'd like to enhance the police department and look at the fire department, real frankly. So this is my offer. Whether you like it or not, or accept it or not, I'm going to go through I have 2 pages of notes of topics and items I'd like to drill into and look through with our budget team and get out the red pen and see if we can maintain our mill levies. I'm not in favor of decreasing our mill levies. I'm absolutely steadfast for standing by our commitment to the airport for the moment present. But that's what my thinking is. I don't know that we can come up with a resolution today, but I would challenge each of us at the table to these next several days, roll up our sleeves, get your pens out, work with the budget team, look at every way we can conceivably to increase revenues. Where can we eke out more revenues? There's ways we can get more revenues. There's some real nice, cushy relationships we have with some entities that get by pretty nicely on the public taxpayer dollar. There's things we need to look at, you know, all of our costs. We need to look at our incentives, real frankly. Are they working? Are they panning out the way we expect them to? Are there moratoriums we should place on boards and commissions and activities? I want our staff to focus on core mission. So Commissioner Turnberg, you're giving us this moment while we respect the mayor's and our commission's intention. You're giving us a moment to tweak our budget, and I welcome it. But I'm not ready to vote on anything today as far as the final budget.
Mr. Kolpak.
Yeah, you know, I take very seriously the fiduciary duty to the taxpayer, and so I'm continuing to look at all expenses. I have been for weeks, and we have some time until we have the final vote. But I'm not willing to increase net mills to the taxpayer at this time, so I support staying neutral net mills. However, the priority this year has to be Team Fargo, so we are going to have to find a way to get to at least 4.5 COLA. We have 30% of our staff who have stepped out, so a COLA is really the only equitable solution to appreciating, besides words, actions for our staff who run the city. I felt the compromise was the 1 mill to the airport and 1, but here, 2 things can be true about that. I have looked at the airport's budget. I did not hear the rationalization or justification for 2 mills. I still haven't seen it, frankly, on where exactly the money is needed. And it was part of the separation agreement, just a reminder that every year the authority comes before this body and justifies the request for any mill. The airport used to have 4 mills. It was reduced to 2. So I felt the compromise was compromising, giving the airport 1 mill. I will share that this year alone, they're going to make 1.8 million net interest. That's just in interest on their reserves. And they're asking for 1.6 in mills. So I still can't reconcile the two. That was my compromise. But I'll be very clear, priorities have to be Team Fargo, and we will continue to look at all reductions, and I think we will get there.
I agree with you that I
Sternberg.
at first felt a compromise was in our best interest, but after having longer conversations and with legislative members of the Appropriations Committee letting me know that it just does not look good to not have the backing from the city to be getting more state and federal dollars. So I feel like we have to stand by that at this time. Going forward, if with the parking garage, the parking ramp, with the money that the airport is sitting on, I think we'll need to take a closer look in the future. But for this budget, I think the 2 is appropriate.
Just want to remind commissioners, you set your mill levy at this time. I can't go back and ask for that. So if we go through the month, cannot find the reductions, cannot find the revenue, you will be dropped to option B, which would be a COLA 3.5. If you do find some more expense reductions and or revenue, you could maybe bring your COLA to 4.0. We put it on the back of our employees all the time. Last year, we did a 2% COLA. Here we come back again, and we're going to put it on the employees. I remind the commissioners that every time we put it on the employees, you risk losing your employees. Firefighters have a great argument. Let's bring that wage up to where it needs to be competitive. They're working their days and nights and taking care of us. But I can go through every one of my departments. Every one of the people are putting in extra time and extra work for this city. And if we don't keep within the market is 3.6 off. Right now, we're 3.6 off. So again, we're not keeping competitive, and people will leave us. I know a lot of employees out there will look very closely at this. If I do contract negotiations and have snowplow operators, I got no mailboxes coming off when they drive down the streets because they don't know the streets or know the people. It's important to keep people working for us every day. I would not support going down on the mill levy only because you give us an option of 56. If we can reduce it over the 40 days to 55, that is an option, and I want you to think about that because I cannot, once this is set today, we cannot go back and say, oh, we need to go back and do a 56. That's the only thing I think I would like at least to think about, because that is what's going to happen. And a 1 mill levy on average for the taxpayer is $15. I don't think $15 is too much to ask to try to bring my firefighters back in line where they need to be. So, any other discussion?
Mr. Chair, just one more comment, if I may. I find it hard to believe on a $133 million proposed budget, we can't find $800,000, which is what we're losing by giving up this mill. So that's my final comment.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mayor, remind me what the motion is, please.
Motion is to go up 2 mills for the airport and to go down 1 mill for city mill to 55. So the total on the mills would be a total of 57. And with that will be, since it's my recommended budget, it is going to be a COLA of 3.5% since I have to have a balanced budget.
My request to the motioner would be to separate the motion, vote on the airport separately than the overall budget total, so we can separate them out a little bit.
Okay. So the motion will be to go up 2 mills on the airport, number 1.
So,
The
Mr.
second-
Chair, doesn't he have to get a second for that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Is there a second?
Whatever the motion was, and then they'd amend it or second it, yep.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote on the splitting of the motion.
Splitting the motion, yes.
Strand,
Yes.
Turnberg,
Yes.
Kolpak,
Yes.
Pepcorn,
No.
Mahoney,
Yes. Now we'll go to the second plan, and as I split the motion, it'd be a motion to move the airport mills to 2. Is there a motion?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Strand,
Yes.
Turnberg,
Yes.
Kolpak,
No.
Pepcorn,
Aye.
Mahoney,
Aye. Second part of the motion is to drop the mills from 56 to 55, and the COLA will go to 3.5. Any discussion?
And for the sake of understanding this, so my eyes don't glaze over, we're at 57 now, and this motion.
Total with the airport. We're at
Airport,
55.
Right now, we're
and the
at
airport's
57,
2.
and this would bring us down to 55,
Yes.
separate from knowing that the airport's at 2, okay?
We're presently on the budget that was passed last week at a 56 for a city, and it was 1 for this airport. Now we're at 2 for the airport, 56 for the city, which would be a total of 58. If you vote for this motion, you will drop the 56 to 55, and the COLA to 3.5.
Might I ask a procedural question?
Yes.
Help me understand the requirement that we're supposed to set our mill levy ceiling at some point, but that doesn't mean we have to stay there. However, if we lower our mill levy, that's our ceiling.
Yes.
My suggestion would be we give us some breathing room just in case, but we can always, my intention is to bring it back down and not increase it to over 57 cumulatively. But it wouldn't hurt us to have that extra mill right now just to work with, see what unfolds, and you'll have my efforts to lower it.
Mr. Chair, don't we
Turnberg.
have time to find excess in the budget so we don't have to set the COLA at 3.5? I feel like there's
Yes.
excess that we can cut and hopefully keep that COLA up.
The budget is always open, but when I do a balanced budget to the commissioners, I have to give you a balanced budget. As it presently sits, we're 400,000 in the hole right now. The budget team has said they work to get the 400,000 request, so they think they can find that. To all of your comment, if you can find more, that would be fine. But to Commissioner Strand's comment, if you leave it at 56 and bring it down to 55 over the month, that would be, quote, the final budget. It allows us to have at least that average effort to do that. And at 56, your COLA would be, at the present time, 4.5.
Mr. Chairman,
Pepcorn.
you know what I'd like to do? I'd like to leave it at 55 and then through our efforts, cut it to 53 or 52. How about that? Because to me, I have no confidence that we're going to lower it at all, especially with the past track record. I've been here for 15 years. I've never seen that happen. So I wish that would happen, but we need to vote in favor of option B with the 55 mills, and hopefully we'll drop that to 53. I have lots of suggestions. Apparently no one's really interested in pursuing those. I asked the city administrator and city finance director how much that would be, and I still haven't gotten a response. Imagine that. I did at the last city commission meeting, so obviously.
And in discussion with the manager, I am
Mr.
under the
Chairman, can I
impression he
continue
did tell you the
speaking?
cost
Can I
savings.
continue speaking? I'd
Yeah,
appreciate
you
it.
keep speaking, Commissioner
Thank you.
Pepcorn.
Thank you for not interrupting me. Once again, we need to leave it at 55 and hopefully drop it from there. And do you know who will rejoice at that? The taxpayers. The taxpayers are extremely fatigued, especially with an 11% increase with your budget this year. That's embarrassing. $20 million. I mean, what taxpayer in Fargo can afford that? So I would strongly encourage the other commissioners to stick with option B at the very least at 55 mills. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
In response to your discussion there, actually 3.5 is transit money. That's not anything other than the costs that we incurred this year that we haven't had in the past. And Commissioner Pepcorn, you were very aware of that. The bit long at the brown bags, we hadn't discussed the transit issue. The other issue is in debt financing of the police headquarters is the other part of that part. And we would be dropping our budget to go up only 8% if it was personnel only. So it's not true to say that. And the manager did tell you, Mike Redinger did go through what the cost reduction would be if you lost DEI, what the cost reduction would be if you made some cuts in other areas. The engagement center is $600,000 to run the engagement center. That's your cost savings. Now, if you want to go further with that and talk to Jen Paul about doing something in the health department, Mr. Strand is going to be working on that, and you can tell him your thoughts and ideas. Any other discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair, one comment. I'm sorry, did I?
No, go right ahead.
Excuse me. I just want to be clear that what we're voting on is the 55 mills, 57 net total, but it doesn't lock us into a 3.5 COLA. We still are working on reductions. So I just want to clarify that that's my expectation, that we will get the COLA back up to at least a 4.5 through those reductions.
Mr. Strand?
Thank you, Mayor. You know, Commissioner Turnberg, I appreciate again your focus on our workforce. If you know this is not fun, your first few meetings, to have this type of stuff land on your shoulders, all of our shoulders. However, last year, for example, in our budgeting, every single department addressed the issues as the highest priorities. Concerns they had a year ago was retention and hiring, recruiting and retention. Here we are a year later, and we're behind. We're behind our peers. So, you know, and there's lots of ways. I have 2 pages of things I'm going to go through, and I'll say something else. I've had some experience in my life in hitting a wall financially in the private world and pulling in your belts. I've done it a few times. I'm experienced at it, and we need to do that. We get to do that. So every time we put $150,000 over here for this, or $100,000 over there for that, or dedicate this money over here, or buy this subscription or this promote, every single one of those is an employee, is a person. So we just left and right constantly are generous in ways that we're supportive of the public. That has to be pulled in. Our staff, in my mind, is our highest priority. And then growing our FTEs. We're afraid to grow FTEs, but we'll do all kinds of consultants. I'd rather have our own people and our own employees. So I look forward to it. I look forward to what Commissioner Pepcorn brings. We may surprise ourselves in where we pull in our belts. This is on us right now. I look forward to pulling in my belt, getting the pencil out, and telling the public, this is not core mission. This is not core mission. This is core mission. We have to focus, and even like, for example, tomorrow with the SRC's committee, okay, we're going to bring 10 or so department heads out of their jobs to sit at a committee. I'm not so sure that's the best use of their time right now. We have lots of boards and commissions like that, where we fill the room with staff, while boards and commissions are up there doing what they do, and then we need to reinvent that. So we have all kinds of ample room to, without pulling in our core services, to pull in our belts, in my opinion.
Just to address the COLA issue, I welcome if we can find other ways to increase the COLA, but the base, as far as I'm concerned, is 3.5. If you can find other reductions, that's fine. To Commissioner Strand, I felt we've pulled in our belts, but you'll have some time to try to explore this and see what you can do. You'll find that any unnecessary subscription event or any other element has already been pulled, but you're all welcome to do that. And any one of you commissioners with your portfolios, please look at them and see what you can do to help in that regard. Roll call vote.
We need a motion.
The motion is to decrease the COLA, the mill to 55.
Option B.
Yes.
It's who made that motion?
Who made the motion?
Commissioner Turnberg? She split the motion for you, John?
She didn't make that motion, though. Maybe she did.
Nancy, you going to clarify?
Yeah, I do have that there was a split motion. The first motion was to increase the airport mill levy to 2, and the other part of that motion that was split was to have the mills at 55, as presented by Commissioner Turnberg.
So a total of 57 with 2 to the airport, correct?
Yep.
Are you satisfied, Mr. Strand? Understand it?
So the motion is to keep it at 57, while that includes 2 for the mill airport.
The motion is to keep it at 55. We're only voting on the city mill right now. We already voted on the airport mill. So what she's doing is, if you look at option A, it had 56. You see option B, it's 55. So it's to reduce, and the budget that was presented last week was we did have the city levy going to 56. Okay? Mr. Strand, can we vote?
Yep.
Roll call vote, please.
Turnberg,
Yes.
Pepcorn,
Aye.
Kolpak,
Aye.
Strand,
No.
Mahoney.
No. We have any other business? We stand adjourned.